right. Well, welcome everybody to another Sunday night PNK EMFQ call. What is EMFQ? And we're going to jump into this for just a couple of minutes. We have a unique thing that we're doing tonight. Our hope is basically if you're finding the replay of this on the YouTube channel, EMFQ, hopefully you got there for a reason. And I would even be, willing to bet that it's for the reason that it was created, right? And so one night about a couple of years ago, one summer night, Kevin and I were brainstorming at my house, and we were really thinking about, like, what are the paradigms that exist, around the way certain things are done that maybe don't have to exist that way anymore. And we started to think about, like, hey, when you think about building a business, right? If you think about creating a vehicle, a distribution channel, something to change your lifestyle, so often we're met with feelings of fear, frustration, the idea that we have to have a lot of sacrifice, the idea that we have to grind or works hard or all these different things. And it's like, sure, like you could make a case for any of those different things, but we did something that I love to do all the time. And this is actually something that if you're out there building a business of your own, you should be doing with the people that you're in front of. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, it doesn't matter what business you're in, but what we did is that we put ourselves into what we call a pretend state. And the best question that you can ask to help somebody to transition into a pretend state is to say, especially if you're helping them work out problems, challenges in their personal life, whatever it is, right? Like that could be something like if you're in the insurance business and you're helping them, apply different policies, or if you're, it really doesn't matter, right? But as you're in counsel with individuals, sometimes it's so easy for us to get so stuck as a result of everything that feels true to us in that moment, right? So somebody might want a particular house, but the numbers, make them uncomfortable, or somebody might want a particular spouse, right? But the numbers make them feel uncomfortable. And so it's just one of these things where, sometimes if somebody's really emotionally bound, and we're trying to guide them, right? We're trying to help them in what it is that we're creating, for ourselves, but also, like hopefully aiding in that customer, that client, whatever that person is, helping them get into a dream state is really, really powerful. And so the best way to do that is basically ask somebody and say, hey, hold on for just a minute here. Let's just wave a magic wand. And if you could wave a magic wand and then, you put them into this dream state and you say, if 6 months from now, your budget completely changed, your zip code changed, where would you be living, right? Like what would that house look like? And from there, suddenly now you've empowered that individual to start to solve problems with a new perspective, with fresh eyes. And that's something that we have to do not only for others, but we have to do it for ourselves. And so Kevin and I were effectively doing that. We said, hey, if we were going to build something great, if we just waved the magic wand, what would it be like? And we decided, we said, you know what, it would feel effortless. Now that doesn't mean that we went, you don't like take a lot of action in the business, right? Or like, but it would feel like inspiration. It wouldn't feel like obligation, right? And then we say it would be magical, right? Like you always hear these incredible stories of synchronistic events happening. Of, I remember vividly the story of somebody that decided that they just loved a house, and they felt very compelled that was their house, and they went and they had an out-of-body experience, and they knocked on the door of the house, and the person that answered, they introduced themselves and told them that, and the person that answered said, this is the weirdest thing ever. We decided this morning that we're going to sell this home. And so they were able to, it was their dream house, and they were able to purchase that house off market because of the thing, right? And so magical, like there's magical events that happen all around us all the time. And I love the saying that basically says, those who don't believe in magic will never experience it, right? And so then the next thing we said was, we said, man, as long as it's going to be, effortless and magical, it might as well be fun. And I like to have fun, like given the choice between not having a good time and having a good time, at least more than sometimes I decide to have more of a fun time. So we said it'd be fun, right? Like it's like the process of whatever we're doing is going to bring joy, right? And it's going to bring joy to us, and it's going to bring joy to the people around us. And the last thing that we're going to call in, or the last thing that we would say is, if we could just make it the way that we want it to, is it would be quick, right? EMFQ, effortless, magical, fun, and quick. And so if you're watching this, if you found our channel, if you're with us tonight, and you're really thinking about, okay, I want to create change in my life, I want to do something, like I invite you to ask the question of what would it be like if it was effortless, magical, fun, and quick. And then from that place, you can devise a vision. And from that vision, you can start to clarify. You can create clarity. Wow, that would be really amazing. Don't ask yourself the question of if it can happen yet, right? But just say, wow, get really clear about what that would look like for you. And then you can start to think about like, ooh, that feels really good. And then we have something that we're going to describe as dynamic action, right? And so with that preface, I'm going to give that over to Kevin, because we always hear that action overrides emotion. We always hear that, act as if. We always hear that, you have to hit the phones, get the numbers in, whatever it is that we're doing. But what's the difference between, and this is kind of the question that I'll leave you with, Kevin, and you can elaborate on this, and you've seen it so many different times in your personal life and with other people, but what's the difference between somebody that does the reps and gets in average shape, and the person that does the reps and gets in great shape? And I would say in business and anything else. So if you want to elaborate on that.
The difference between the two, in my opinion, is tracking. It's consistency. It's measuring the outcome in that sense. If I know how much I'm eating relative to the workout, I get more out of it. In that sense, if it's in business and I'm tracking and I've got a metric that I can track, there are days in this business for me where I'm on the phone all day, but I'm just having these long conversations with people that are not necessarily income producing. And you think, what does dynamic action look like? If you set up a policy of effortless, magical, fun, and quick as the preface, you're like, that's how it's going to take shape. What does the action look like? To me, it's like, okay, I would measure based on exposures. How many people am I going to get this in front of? If you're in real estate, if you're in insurance, as was stated before, if you're in mortgages, if you're in sales, if you're in multi-level marketing, regardless of the industry, if it involves the prospecting aspect and the following up aspect, then the real metric to observe and to take in your business and take into account is going to be that aspect of exposures. How many people did I share the opportunity today? How many people did I prospect? How many calls did I make? How many follow-ups did I make? How many sticks of active greens did I send out today? Because the forward movement is what brings it in. I was talking to Peyton, we were talking this week about what it took. And there was this moment that's played over in my head again. I asked, was it this economic factor or that economic factor towards this person's success or that person's success? Was it the timing in the industry? Was it the timing in the world? Was it this, that, or the other? And we looked at so many different examples of people that like made it really, really big, like 7, 8, 9-figure money. And he looks me dead in the face and says, they worked. He said that until they sponsored 500 to 600 people, and then there was some astronomical number in 5 digits of tens of thousands that somebody had personally recruited. That was what it took to make the millions of dollars. And so I take that away and I think, okay, regardless of what I want to say, what I want to try to blame things on or give reasons to give me an out whenever I feel like I talk to everybody that I have ever known, I realize, well, if the goal is 500 and I got to sign 500 up and I haven't done even close to that, it's like I've got a lot of work to do. And to me, the simplest way to make the work make sense is like, oh, I just have to ask people the question. Peyton asked a phenomenal question. The question I'm asking is the question of, do you have hope in your life? Like, do you see a way ahead on the side of what you're already doing? Like, are you doing something now? Because the people that invest in stocks, like a little bit out of their check until they're no longer working their jobs, those people end up having a retirement. It's these little actions over time. And if it was to be effortless, magical, fun, and quick, then that's predicated upon you taking dynamic action. Peyton, I would pass it back to you if you had anything to close it out.
Yeah, it's perfect. I think that, when you're building anything that seems like it has the X factor, and what I mean by that is that it's like it's the unseen, right? And it's like there's examples of athletes that it's like, why do two athletes, arguably the same talent, same sport, same endeavor, same practice routine, why does one athlete become like an all-star player and or vice versa in business, right? Like, why does one person have breakout results? Like, is it really that they work more hours, right? Like, and I think the reason that word dynamic sticks out so much is that if you're listening to this right now and you're looking at your particular business, if let's assume that you're like in the middle of actually growing it, right? Like you're past the getting started part, you're past some of the excitement phases, some of the like those beginning conversations, stuff like that, but you're kind of in it. It's like the difference between action and dynamic action, and from my opinion, and is just the idea of like, do you have a deliberate approach versus just an approach, right? And so it's like Kevin was describing, it's like if in the gym, I'm gonna do the same amount of reps, but I'm going to make sure that my rest times are accurate. I'm going to make sure that my progressive overload is accurate. I'm going to make sure that my tempo is accurate. And then I'm going to make sure that my food's right. Like, that's really dynamic, right? Versus like, well, I eat healthy food and I go to the gym. Same concept, almost less than probably a couple degrees of difference, but the outcome is so enormously huge. And so when you look at Active Greens as a business and you look at it as a vehicle to achieve what you want, why is it that one person, has a $45,000 a month and another person can't make a sale? And one of the things that we've always said for a really long time is it's like, well, the product's the same for everybody, the brand's the same for everybody, the back office is the same for everybody, and the compensation plan's the same for everybody. So, and you can't say that everybody's, in the team of the guy that had the huge check, because that's not true. So it's like, what's the actual difference? And the truth is that the difference is probably much, much smaller than you or we actually think it is. It's just that intentionality, that dynamism. And so hopefully this just prompts a way for you to evaluate everything you're doing about your business just a little bit differently. And then I want to invite you to think about somebody in your life that just does something with a particular type of flair, right? It's not, and it's the thing that makes them not just ordinary, but extraordinary, right? And it doesn't have to be like world-class performance. And it could be your grandmother, the way that she has attention to the way that she wrote birthday cards, right? Like, there's just little things that really set people above and beyond. And it could be that the thing that will get you to the tipping point is that little evaluation and a choice to approach your business in that way. So that's everything that I got. And hopefully that's valuable if you're listening to it.